Welcome to Box to Box Football, and we are live, guys. We were there a few days ago, and we had a lot of fun. So we got to come back again and just more football news. I want to talk about what's going on the pitch, unfortunately, but football just throws us just some crazy ideas out there, and we have to address them. Let's talk about the first big news that dropped today. I was actually doing my driver's lessons, and I got a text from Jack, and I'm thinking, Jack, Celtic joined and Rangers joined the Premier League. I'm like, what have I missed since I've been gone for the past 2 hours? And yeah, rumors of Celtic and Rangers joining the Premier League to create a British Super League. So European Super League, and now we want a British Super League. But this has always been on the cards for a long time, to be fair. We've heard this rumor on a number of occasions, and I just want to get, Jack, since you seem to be the man when it comes to all this type of stuff, what do you think about this?
Well, so we're getting to a point now where basically it's what's a good way to put this? It's the fallout from the European Super League and how it's not going ahead. And what I want to do for everybody, potentially watching here, I just want to clarify a couple of things here. Okay. The European Super League still exists, okay? These Premier League teams are still technically a part of the European Super League. Now, yes, they've released statements. They've publicly said we're trying to get our way out of it. We regret it, blah, blah, blah. Interviews, soulless interviews from John Henry, from Joel Glazer, these open letters and stuff. But technically speaking, the European Super League is still going. And the European Super League still exists. And Joan Laporta and Florentino Perez seem very kind of fervently committed to it. So I don't think it's the end of it just yet. I still don't think it happens because they've publicly said it, and it would look so weak for them to now go back into it. And they'd get criticized more than they have already. But what I think has now started to happen, we've get into the fallout. And the fallout is, right, we're not doing this European Super League thing anymore. Okay, it was short-sighted, whatever, we made a mistake. But we still need some changes. We still need X, Y, and Z to change. Because, James, here's the other thing. If you look at the teams most in debt in European football, it's the biggest teams. Now, my question to you, I guess, James, would be, if these big teams somehow fall away, somehow get relegated or whatever, first of all, I think that's great for the sport because we got new spots for clubs who've been better managed and better run, right? But that kind of allure goes away because the 70-80% of global fans are going to be still supporting a team who are in loads and loads of debt worldwide, watching them play in the championship? I don't think so. So the Premier League have to leverage their value and try and go, right, we need to make a better product. We need to make something where we can still get our money and still be afloat. And I think they look at Steven Gerrard at Rangers. They look at Celtic. Jose Mourinho was linked with the Celtic job today. If the old firm comes into the Premier League...
Wait. What? Did you say Jose Mourinho was linked with the...
Yeah, it's gossip at this point, but Jose Mourinho's linked with the Celtic job. And I think if Celtic were in the Premier League, that would interest Jose Mourinho very much, I would think. Because there are players there, I'm not just thinking of Scott Brown, but there are players there for Celtic who I think Jose Mourinho is going to like. He's going to like some of their stronger mentality amongst, kind of across the board there. So we'll see what happens. My question, James, to you is going to be, well, what happens with the rest of the Scottish League, right? Because we can't just have this whole thing of there's a European Super League type thing going on, and we're so angry at that. But what? We're going to take the two best teams from a different league and just put them into our league? Because there's some hypocrisy going on there. So I'm just wondering what you think of it.
I've heard it for a number of years now. This I don't think this has been something new. I think I heard this around 2014, maybe, right, of them joining. It's been a long time coming. But my question is, does the Premier League really need revamping? To me, it's the best league in the world. Now, I know you're going to say your La Ligas and all that, but for me to watch, it's the best league in the world. Some of the most entertaining matches, not all the time entertaining, but I don't think that there's much wrong with it.
Right.
Why bring in two other teams? Now, it would be cool to have an Old Firm derby in England, but how many times do you watch Old Firm Derby? Be honest with me, Jack.
If it's on and it doesn't come into, say, a Roma game or another big Premier League game, I will watch it. Like if it's Southampton against West Brom, sure, I'll stick on the Old Firm Derby. But if it's like, say, tomorrow we've got Arsenal-Everton, I'd rather watch Arsenal-Everton than the Old Firm Derby. But if the Old Firm Derby was in the Premier League and it had ramifications on top four, maybe the title, relegation, etc., I'd be more inclined potentially to watch it because there is that grudge match side of it. And James, the thing is, the intensity of the game increases with the level of competition. They know there's more at stake. In the Scottish League, it's kind of like there's still a lot a lot at stake, but there are going to be more eyes on the game.
This might be a bit ignorant in certain parts, but how much competition does Rangers and Celtic really bring to the Premier League?
Celtic, I think, do in a big way. And if Rangers and you know,
in what way? Because Rangers right now are by far the better team, and it's not even close.
No, that's fine. But historically, we've seen Celtic be this incredible powerhouse who've won league after league after league after league.
I've also seen Celtic get knocked out in the Champions League qualifying stage to some part-time team from Kazakhstan.
But James, here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. I think we got a comment, but I'll kind of finish my point here quick. I'd rather watch Rangers Celtic than Arsenal Everton, to be fair. Hey, man, you know what? Fair play. And to be fair, if it's in the Premier League, I probably agree with you. I think the way it is now, Rangers Celtic in the Scottish League, I'd probably watch Arsenal Everton just because of top four and all that kind of stuff. But I take your point.
Just a question for you. We do understand the history behind it, but
great name, by the way, Gary.
It's a special fixture, but really, has it really done much? As English, I don't know where you're from, whether you're English or Scottish, but does it really bring you that much excitement compared to an Everton and Arsenal game? By the history of it, is the quality of football even that great as it used to be?
But James, so this brings on to my point. You say that, right? But that's with the funding from the Scottish League, and that's also then from the funding that they make for making the Champions League each year, which is no small amount, right? But they don't always qualify, right? They're not always one of those teams. Like you said, you've seen them knocked out in qualification qualifier matches. With the incentive of Premier League money and the broadcasting revenue that they're going to get from that, it will increase even more because you're picking two of the much more popular British teams, generally speaking, because it's nearly all of Scotland.
Wait. Generally, does a team like Celtic have more popularity to a team like Leeds?
No, I don't think so. I don't
think so too. Yes, Celtic are big in their area, in their region, but as an overall, yes, they have won the Champions League, but as an overall package, is not big.
But it's proper old school fans, is what I'd say to you. These are guys that, regardless of the Premier League being this big entity, guys from Scotland could still support teams from the north of England and go to games, but they don't. These are still proper fans. And I still think we get that kind of emotional connection when fans are back in games. And James, think about it. Yes, okay, we can talk about the European Super League thing about, Celtic versus a big team in England and that not being that big of a deal.
Also, Gary, thank you for your comment. Also hit the subscribe button and also the like button. Thank you. Also keep the comments coming.
But yeah, it's one of those things where I would still happily watch Celtic versus Liverpool, Celtic versus Man City, Celtic versus Man. James, Rangers with Steven Gerrard against Liverpool, yeah. Rangers with Steven Gerrard against Everton, yeah.
The storyline works out. I'll give it to you with the storyline part. But if I'm being honest, Rangers' quality isn't too bad, but Celtic's quality has just dropped so much. This is not Nakamura back in the day popping in a free kick against Edwin van der Sar. Celtic ain't that great of a side.
But with the extra money, right? Mm-hmm. They could then improve those parts of their team more. That's the extra money.
Where would they rank in the Premier League?
I mean, I think they'd be fighting it around mid-table. But James, you've got to say that a couple of transfer windows in, and then let's keep in mind that there's going to be a new Celtic manager here at some point. And like I say, I'm not buying the rumors today. So just for people watching, the rumors today were supposedly that Jose Mourinho is potentially a contender for the job. If Celtic are in the Premier League, I think Jose Mourinho considers that job. But what I'm saying is, if they get
Mourinho did not want to live in Manchester and still want to stay in like London during the time of Manchester, do you really think he's going to want to travel all the way to Scotland?
I don't know how many jobs are left for Jose to do. That's what I'm trying to say. And I think a Celtic job would give him interest, because I think it's very clear Bayern are going to go for Nagelsmann, right? The Roma job is open. Do I think he'll take that? Probably not. That's probably going to be Sarri or Allegri, you'd imagine. But then obviously the Tottenham job's still open. Obviously he's not going to go for that because he's just come from there. So with Jose, what? Porto, maybe. Bayern, maybe, if they don't get Nagelsmann. I mean, where left is. I mean, that's a fair transition, I guess. Unless you wanted to continue talking about a new British Super League, I guess we could potentially talk about what Jose's going to do next.
I just look at the Premier League and I genuinely do believe that there's nothing wrong with it. Don't change something that is not broken. I do understand we want to see more teams like compete, but
yeah.
As far as like the Premier League has always been in like English football has always been, there's always been a hierarchy and like a ranking to it. When it first started, Manchester United, Aston Villa were the two teams battling out. Leeds were the first team to win it. Liverpool dominated before that, and it wasn't even close. When like football was a bit more fair, Liverpool were head and shoulders above everyone there, and I don't see too many teams complaining. Right. You look at when Manchester United and Arsenal had their Wenger and like Ferguson days. That's just the way football's always is. I don't think that you need like this crazy balanced field when you know that there's someone there that like you have to topple. For me, that's what makes it exciting. Not just for me, the Premier League is just the way it is. Don't change it. But something that is going to be changed, and I'm not really sure about it because I've been seeing so many rumors about what it's going to look like, and it's already been confirmed. But the whole Champions League format, Jack, can I just have you just explain the Champions League format for everyone who's actually watching?
Okay, so guys, basically, I'll go to my Twitter and make sure that I'm not that I'm not messing any of this stuff up. But the two main pieces of contention, which I can just kind of say to you offhand here, of two of the extra spaces that are going to be created by UEFA for the new Champions League format are basically going to be for teams who qualify for European competition, so be that the Europa League or the new one that's coming in the next couple of years or so, where if you finish in one of those two competitions, based on your historical UEFA coefficient ranking, you could potentially be given a spot in the Champions League. Now, this is the way to make these quote-unquote big teams feel more warm and cozy.
Jack, could you just explain? So the old format was basically what, you had 8 groups.
Oh, I've got it here. So yeah, the old format is obviously you've got 8 groups, 8 groups of 4. Everybody plays each other twice, home and away. Top 2 go through, and people play one another, one from the top of the group, and then you play somebody from the second in one of the other groups, right? This way, in terms of qualification, the best example I can use is, say West Ham finish 5th, right? West Ham have a good year, David Moyes, some smart signings, doing well. Manchester United have a down year, right? They're doing okay, second, and okay, things are looking good for Ollie. The wheels fall off the Ollie bus and they finish 6th, right? They would still make the Europa League, but under the new format from UEFA, Manchester United, because of their coefficient, would actually get into the Champions League. So they would then get the money from that. They would then have the opportunity to progress further in that, win it potentially, so on and so forth, where you still have West Ham having to go to obviously these, we know what, James, you know what the Europa League's like. You got to go to Eastern Europe and play on a Thursday. So then all your Premier League matches go to Sunday. It's messed up. So what I'm saying is the new revamp for the Champions League, it's a watered down version of the European Super League. And what they're doing is I've got it here, 36 teams total. So they're adding 4 more teams, right? Now, what that means is there's going to be a total of 100 more matches. That's 100 more matches which they can sell for sponsors. So before, where they say to MasterCard or Gazprom or whoever, like, hey, we're going to put your name on the screen for this many matches, they're going to add 100 more to that. So the price of sponsorship will go up. The broadcasting rights per game for a Sky or a BT, they're going to be able to show more games. So price goes up again. They're going to try and tell you that, we're giving money to more teams, we're having more teams in the competition. This is something James and I disagree with, but since 1992, 145 different teams have entered the Champions League. In nearly 30 years or so, we've had 13 different winners. So what that means is, guys, it's just being clogged up by basically the same teams. And that's not
since 1992, we've had 13 different winners.
Right. But James, consider this. Some of the winners from 1992 to, say, 2000, or maybe even the early 2000s, are teams who have no shot of winning it in the future. No shot. You know the teams who it's going to be. It's the European Super League teams that are going to be the ones there or thereabouts for the future. Let me get up a list here. Hang on a second. Sorry, James, I don't know if you want to fill here for a bit.
Well, what's going on right now?
Well, no, I'm just pulling this up. So let's look. So from 1992, so 1992-93, Marseille won it. Are Marseille going to win it again anytime soon? I don't think so.
Well, right now, we look at the club, not really going.
Ajax, right? They had a run, but financially they can't compete. They're always going to have a very, very young team. Okay,
well, then everyone's going to take their players.
Right. Then you got Borussia Dortmund. Okay, like maybe. Then after that, though, these names start coming up as we get to the late 90s, early 2000s. Real Madrid, Manchester United, Bayern Munich. Okay, Porto in 2003, 2004, but Jose Mourinho. Liverpool, Barcelona, Milan, Manchester United, Barcelona, Inter, Barcelona, Chelsea, Bayern, Real Madrid, Barcelona, Real Madrid, Liverpool, Bayern Munich. You're starting to see a couple of those teams. Like, James, let me put this to you. 1990-91, Red Star Belgrade won the thing. Are Red Star Belgrade going to win the thing anytime soon? PSV Eindhoven, Steaua Bucharest, Hamburg? It's not going to happen. We know what the future of this competition is. It's going to be the same, I would argue, 10 winners, 8 winners, maybe. That's the problem. Because that list of 145 different teams entering the competition, that's going to get bigger. And the number of different...
What do you think that's down to?
Money. Of course it's money.
Yeah.
So this is the problem. And this is why it has to change. It's the same with the Premier League, and you and I spoke on the phone about this kind of briefly. We want it to be a meritocracy, right? Now, everybody at home, what I mean by that, I'm not trying to use like fancy words here. Meritocracy is you're creating a system where if you do well, you get merited for that. You gain a merit from that, which is a financial reward for that, right? So if you're Man City and you finish top, you then get the most money. If you're Burnley or one of these lower teams, but you avoid relegation, you get the least amount of money. So now the gap between the team that are winning and the team that are losing is bigger, because what's happened is the champions are going to get more money, right? They're going to probably, because they're champions, get bigger shirt sponsors, right? Bigger collaborations for kit sponsors, sleeve sponsors now. Gary Garner's Stack of Ribs, love the name still. Bayern Munich and Real Madrid pretty much play each other at least every 2 or 3 seasons as it is right now. The more teams admitted just means widening the gap between rich and not so rich club. Dude, yeah, you're absolutely spot on. That's literally what I was saying in text form. You're absolutely right, Gary. Like, this is where we're at, and this is the problem. Now, James and I have talked about the extremities of how you could fix this, right? So you have like maybe a wage cap, right? That would be an extremity. Or there's a way that you can maybe give a handicap to the teams that win. So maybe Man City at the start of next season, maybe whatever the difference is between top and bottom, maybe you can figure something out and maybe they get a 5-point handicap or a 10-point handicap.
Like, I do understand Champions League money is great, but also we have to look at what they make in their domestic leagues also. You can't equate what like Premier League teams make to teams in the Eredivisie. It's not close. The team who gets the team who finishes bottom in the Premier League makes more than the team who wins Eredivisie. The team who finishes bottom of the Premier League makes more than the team who wins Ligue 1.
Yeah,
so that's
exactly.
we also have to look at. But then that's touching into each team's leagues. So the thing that we also need to look at is like the marketing of each league. So that's something that we take into consideration.
But James, the confederation is the one that unites all those things, right? UEFA is the thing that unites all those things. And then, okay, UEFA you can kind of park to one side because it's so much bigger than CAF, AFC, CONCACAF, CONMEBOL, right? It's so much bigger. So you can say it's kind of the golden goose from that respect. But then it's UEFA or even above that controlling kind of everything else. So the idea is, you're absolutely right. Marketing a league in a certain kind of way is good, but James, let me ask you, if you've got domestic league football on at 3 o'clock or 5:30 or 8 o'clock on every Saturday, and there's no difference in time that you can watch different leagues, what league are you going to watch? What team do you support? Like, I'm not trying to trick you or trap you here, but I'm never going to watch you play, be watching a game of Ado Den Haag against SC Heerenveen while Everton Man City is on. It's not going to happen, is it? So what I think we need to do, there needs to be wholesale changes. I don't know what those changes need to be.
Yeah, but I feel like there's wholesale changes, but it's hard because in America, that's one system. Yeah.
Right.
In football, there's different systems. So in Spain, you have a different federation. In England, you have a different federation, yes. Which is the FA. Italy, every single one has a different federation. So it's hard to kind of bring everyone together and make it fair. That is to me the hardest part.
The thing is though, James, so they're all still under UEFA. So UEFA FFP applies to Birmingham City in the same way it applies to Manchester City. So the kind of burden of kind of make this better, guys, shaking them is on UEFA. That's why this revamp is such a joke. And the thing is, like, this is the thing. Okay, guys, so The Sun, I think the Daily Mail, a couple of other really trashy, media kind of people covering it are the ones who reported about Rangers and Celtic being part of the Premier League. But supposedly the government, because I think it means like a United Kingdom, so the government are behind it, they love it, FIFA are behind it, and UEFA are supposedly behind it. Now, I don't know what to do in terms of reading into that. I just know that what to me it feels like UEFA, FIFA, Sky and all these companies have tried to do with this European Super League is go, hey guys, you're all outraged, but come on our side because we're with you. And they're trying to sneak in this new format, which I've just talked about, which is basically a watered down version of a European Super League.
I feel like if the fans unite and if the fans are that much upset, they would say something about it. It isn't that much big of a deal. I don't like the system, but I don't think it's something that I need to be outraged about. The European Super League was to me something completely different. The way
James, it's to me anyway. And sorry to interrupt. I'll let you go. I'm really sorry, but the issue is, if you don't like what FIFA are doing, which I don't, if you don't like what UEFA are doing, which I don't, and if you don't like what the clubs are doing, which I don't, who's left? Like, there's literally no one left in football. That's the problem. That's where we're at right now. So to me, what I wanted was the European Super League to happen, right? Because I thought, hey, it'll be exciting. It's something different. Then it fails after a while. Hopefully UEFA and FIFA get their act together. And then we have the football that we want. We want an all-inclusive competitive competition for everybody. But we're not getting that with the current system in place. So as far as I'm concerned...
I feel, Jack, there's so much to handle.
Right.
Because back in the day, as big as Real Madrid and Barcelona and all these teams are, they weren't as big as they are now. So in the 90s, in the 70s, players didn't like to travel as much. Players like to stay
where they were, right,
and compete where they were. Nowadays, and I know that when a player is hot, when a player is on top of his game, the first thing they're going to say is, man, he's too good. He needs to go to here. He needs to go to there. So there's you look at the system, but it's also a mentality thing. How are we going to change that? How are we going to change that problem? You've seen it with Ajax. Ajax went on this incredible run in 2019. You loved it. What happened? They lost Matthijs de Ligt. They lost Frankie de Jong. They lost Hakim Ziyech. Donny van der Beek. The list went on and on and on. And that's what's just going to happen. The European powers of these top teams have just gotten stronger and stronger, not just in money, but in popularity, where you have to play for them. Just to think about it, the Galacticos policy started, what, in 2001? And since
one
then,
or two, yeah.
But since then, every top player is playing for Real Madrid or Barcelona now. Like now, it is.
We got Lewis in the comments.
We got Carefully Lewis in the house. My guy.
Shout out.
What's going on, Lewis?
So James, here's what I'd say. Right, we got the.
How many Champions League did Chelsea win? It's only one, Lewis, and you know, it wasn't the most dominant. What's it called again? Campaign. It was heroic, but not dominant.
But James, here's the thing, right? Here's the thing, just quickly on that point. You know, the Dutch league, which is the thing that's holding Ajax and, you know, PSV and Feyenoord back, they're combining with the Belgian league. I guarantee you, the people and the bodies and the organizations who are pushing for that are Ajax and PSV, because they want to try and create a product so that they can compete, so that they can get more money, so that they can keep Matthijs de Ligt, Donny van der Beek, Funky de Jong, you know, Andre Onana, we assume is going to be sold, Mazraoui, Hakim Ziyech, all these kind of guys, right? Because as it is right now, they just have to build this model where it's like, hey, our youth development is absolutely killing it, but eventually we're just going to sell all these guys, and then we just have to try and reinvest the money and do it all over again. Oh, Gary Garner's stack of ribs. I would love a Euro Super League to happen that can be played alongside the Prem and the UCL. It would mean that the Prem would have to downsize to at least 16 clubs and maybe discontinue the League Cup. Hey, I'm all for discontinuing the League Cup. League Cup is a joke.
Thank you for your support. Really, really appreciate it. Also, guys, go check out Lewis's channel. Best channel for all Chelsea content, guys.
Big time.
Definitely go check that out.
Yeah.
The one thing I'm going to say about that is that the European Super League does happen. Yeah? Teams get all that money. You're the one who said you wanted to be balanced out. Do you really think with a European Super League, it would help balance out football?
No, but James, here's the thing.
Because your comment, Gary, is that you want teams to be able to play Champions League, European Super League, and Premier League. So think about it right now. With American owners who want to dictate the way football is, they're going to look at it and think, okay, so what is the most profitable competition? The European Super League. So we're going to rest our players in the Premier League. So the Premier League will basically become the FA Cup and League Cup and like also the Champions League, and then save all our players for the European Super League, where like we get all the money, all the revenue, and like where everyone's watching. That's what's going to happen with the European Super League.
But James, what I think we're kind of talking about here though is that it's already kind of there already. So for me, I think it's this kind of situation where you have to break it down to then build it back up, right? We can't just fix what we have. I think we need to break it. And to me, a European Super League is a market breaking type of thing to happen. Now, it seems very likely that the European Super League won't happen, but everybody watching, Joan Laporta has come out in support of it still. Perez is vehemently saying it.
But of course they're going to do that. Barcelona are in £1 billion worth of debt, which they can get out of, but would a European Super League help fund that? Yeah. Real Madrid just are in the midst of building a new stadium, and they're in a debt of over £900 million.
James,
say the exact same thing with Italian clubs, Juventus and Inter Milan.
Well, a team like Roma still shares their stadium with Lazio. Roma have plans for building a new stadium, but don't have the money. Manchester United haven't made any changes to Old Trafford, I think, since like the 50s or 60s, right? Tottenham have still got loads to pay off for their new stadium as well. I think Arsenal still have a bit, right, to pay off the Emirates?
No. That was
all gone. Chelsea. You know, I'm hoping Lewis is still around to maybe talk about this. Chelsea want to do this huge expansion of their ground, but had it limited recently. This is all going to cost hundreds of millions, if not billions of, let's say, US dollars, right? So the issue, James, then basically becomes, right, how do we fix it? And for me, what we need to do is we need to light a fire under the people who can actually make the changes, because as of right now, they've won. And we're going to go back to the status quo, and we're going to have the same people win, and the same people win. And we're going to call like an upset victory in the League Cup and the FA Cup
I just want to know how.
Just quick. We're going to have a League Cup or an FA Cup upset, right? And we're going to call it an upset, even though it's the B team of whatever the team's playing. They have no cohesion. They haven't played well together. The manager doesn't care, and you've got the first team just on the bench. I'm sick of that stuff. Gary Garner's stack of ribs. We appreciate these comments, mate. Big time. It's great to kind of interact with people. The fact that UEFA are introducing a third tournament in the Euro Conference makes a lot of sense to me. Hey, I agree. I'm old enough to remember the ECWC, so UEFA did have 3 competitions for many years. Yeah, no, look, you're absolutely right, and hey, that is something.
Wait, what is the ECW? Sound like about ECW? What's...
I think this was prior to the 1992 revamp. I think.
Yeah.
But basically, the point remains. What they're trying to do again now, James.
Is ECW the European Cup Winners' Cup? Is that what it is?
Extreme Championship Wrestling, something like that. But like James, here's the thing, right? That I don't mind. I agree with Gary on that one, right? Because what you're doing is, okay, yeah, sure, it's more broadcasting rights for FIFA and all this stuff so that they can get their beaks wet and make more money. But now it's an opportunity for teams who would never touch Champions League to just make a couple million more, right? Maybe the winner gets like 10 million.
Yeah. I was right. Yeah. The European.
Discontinued in 99. Great. That's some good history. But James, that's the thing. UEFA can still get their beak wet, right? They can still make their money. They can do all this. But all these teams that would never be able to make it into the Champions League because of these teams with loads and loads of money, if they win that competition, they're then in the Europa League the next season.
Yeah, but Jack, I want you just to think about this right now. The Premier League for a lot of these top teams, is like, especially a lot of these top teams, they already complain when they make it into the Europa League. Do you remember Burnley when they were in last year? And Sean Dice was just complaining, oh, there's too many games Thursday, Sunday. You know what? It's gonna how many of teams, especially English teams, accept that when they want to concentrate on make sure their ranking in the Premier League is high enough, you know?
But James, here's the thing, right? That's all well and good, but we know that what the games are that are kind of clogging up these competitions. It's the FA Cup and it's the.
Jack, we are not getting rid of the FA Cup. Never in the millions.
I think the FA Cup should be for all teams that aren't in the Premier League, personally, and I think that the League Cup should be totally abolished. It doesn't matter. The
League Cup, I think, is a bit. They keep on watering it down. Like now, they don't even have extra time. They go into penalty shootout, which is a bit weird to me. So it makes it less of a competition at times. But Jack, if I'm being honest, Jack, the FA Cup is what. It's a longest serving cup competition in.
But James, we can't do this. We can't do this nostalgia thing.
We can't lose the FA Cup. It's still a very, very important cup. It's just like the Copa del Rey. It's still
it's important for the smaller teams. It's not important for the bigger teams.
When Arsenal won it last year, it meant so much. Every time you win something, it means something.
But it's not important to the bigger teams. Generally speaking, it's not important to the bigger teams. You're telling me that Arsenal played... No, James, listen. You're telling me that Arsenal played their first team in every single FA Cup round game, regardless of opponent, because they were that desperate to win it.
Jack,
there's no way.
It seems like we're equating money to winning, right?
We are. That is what we're doing. At the end of the day, that's what the system does.
No, but Jack, the problem is that you still want to win trophies. I don't see this thing about football teams. Of course, they want more money, but especially football teams, they base everything that they do on winning. A football club cannot be successful without winning. Manchester United will not be successful without winning all these Premier League, all these Champions League, all these FA Cups. It's based on winning. An FA Cup is a trophy, and if you win it, it puts you in a high status. You know.
But my issue with it though, James, is I don't know if you can call it this great competition if every team isn't desperately trying to win it. Now, if you're lower in the pyramid and you think, oh man, we could get a chance to draw one of the big guys and it would be such a great thing for our club, local support, money, blah, 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 blah. But the issue becomes when the winner's holding the trophy, and like, I don't know, 10, 12, 15 teams along the way across the whole competition haven't put their best team out because they want to rest it for the Premier League or for a Champions League game or whatever, there's that asterisk beside it. What was the Man United Leicester game the other day? They both played like backup teams, I think, and Leicester got through or something.
No,
like, people don't care. People don't care.
Now, to be fair, Leicester played their full team. Man City's played virtually their full team.
So there you go. I don't see how you can lift the trophy and then along the way you've beaten teams who really aren't even that hard trying to win it. Anyway, Gary Garner's stack of ribs. I do actually love the League Cup, but I think it's inevitable that we have to get rid of it. As for the FA Cup, we need FA Cup replays to stay abolished. Hey, dude, I agree with you there big time. Too much fixture congestion with the Euro Super League. Yeah, like, I agree with you. It's lost its magic for me, the FA Cup. It really has. Like, and that's one thing I get sick of, a giant killing. Like, some team is going to play their like under 18 squad against some team in League One or the Championship, and then we're going to call that a giant killing. You haven't beaten the best form of that team. It's not the same. It's not the same.
Jack, we still get giant killings. In the FA Cup, 2015, when Brentford
beat 6 years ago. I'm just saying.
It was, to me, like, it was still recent enough. Brentford beat reigning champions Chelsea after going 2-0 down at Stamford Bridge. That was, to me, one of the biggest shocks in the club's history. Man City lost to Middlesbrough. Like,
were for Chelsea and Man City, is it their starting team? Is it their starting 11?
Yeah, Fabregas, Costa, all them guys were playing.
I'm just saying, because if it's not the starting team, there's an asterisk over it for me. That's why something like the Champions League knockout stages or the business end of the Premier League season, you're getting the best of the best against one another. It's why, I sometimes, like I said, look at these giant killings and I go, well, okay, so you beat, Arsenal's under 18s and you're a League One Championship team. That's what you should be doing,
So wait, if Roma were in the Coppa Italia, you wouldn't care?
Well, I mean, it depends. If we're, let's say Roma beat Juve, right? But it's Juve's kind of B or C team, and we've got a bunch of like Primavera players playing against us, and then we beat them. It's like we haven't really beaten Juve. Like, say Ronaldo didn't play, say De Ligt didn't play, Bonucci, etc., etc. I'd be like, well, it's not quite the win that we were kind of hoping for.
But again, you have asterisks on so many things. It's just like in basketball when like the best player is like missing. Are you going to put an asterisk on that? You won the game. It doesn't come up in history what happened in the game. You won and you won the trophy.
But emotionally, we project that onto the situation. I don't know how many Liverpool fans I've spoken to about how gutted they were. They're so delighted that they won the Premier League, but they're so gutted that they won the Premier League during coronavirus. They're absolutely distraught about it because the problem is they wanted that moment. They wanted the walk around the stadium with the family and the kids and the confetti and the owners and people shaking hands and high-fiving and holding the trophy up to the fans and stuff. They didn't get that. Liverpool's title win will always have that asterisk over it. It just always will. I don't know
how we can say it could have it has an asterisk over it when, if I'm being honest, Liverpool's title win was better than Manchester United, Man City's 100-point season. If I'm being honest.
But that's the thing. It's what you project onto it. And what I'm saying to you, hey, I may not be in the majority here. I'm sure I'm not. But the point is, like, if some team wins it because the other team wasn't really trying to win it and got knocked out one weekend because they were saving all their best players for Europe or for the Premier League, then I'm going to kind of go, well, yeah, I mean, okay, you beat them, but you didn't really beat them properly.
Chelsea saving all their players last year in the FA Cup.
I don't know. Your recall's better than mine. I have no idea.
No, they didn't. They played a strong team good enough to win every game, and they made it to the final. It was the exact same thing with Arsenal. Played a strong team good enough to win every single game, and they did. And I also remember the celebrations when Arsenal actually won the thing, and it was amazing. Well,
that's cool, James. But what I'm saying to you is, did Man City field their strongest team throughout? Did Man United? Did Tottenham? Did Everton? Etc. Etc. You go on and on. Like, do you not feel that there's a certain level of like, okay, well, If these teams had also come to play, like the Champions League is not up for debate. The Champions League teams try as hard as they can. Maybe the group stages in your easiest game, you rest players if you know you're already through. But as you get to the knockouts, every team, unless people are injured or have red cards or whatever, teams are playing their best teams. So you're beating the teams at their best. Gary Garner's stack of ribs. It's certainly not the same if a team wins against a big club when the big club has 5 or 6 of the best players around. Yeah, thank you. I agree. I totally agree with you. Look, James, I'm not saying this all the time, but I'm just saying to you that, like say, all these teams that have beaten Liverpool, do you really think that they have the same feeling of beating Liverpool if they had Van Dijk and Joe Gomez and all these players fit and firing?
A same asterisk on when teams, let's say, go to Manchester United in a Premier League game at Old Trafford or like Man City and play their weaker team because they know that they had a tougher game, a game more winnable in 4 days' time.
I think so. I think it's the exact same thing. Again, it's like, let's say you mentioned Man United there. Let's say Man United go on a crazy, run of beating teams, like knocking them out, like 5 goals. But then we see that it's West Brom, and they're actually trying to save their players for a match against Fulham a little bit later, which they think, that's kind of a 6-pointer. That's the cliche. No, I don't think so, because West Brom weren't really trying to win. You know what I mean? They were kind of going, look, we just want to get through this for the next one.
My thing about this is what we were talking about, the new European league that they were going to bring in. What's it called again?
I don't know. They'll call it something stupid.
The European Conference League Cup, whatever.
ECWC.
If teams already lambast and moan and whinge about getting into the Europa League, do you really think teams are going to want to come and play another tournament like that on a Saturday? I mean, on a Wednesday or even on a Thursday? I'm not sure about that.
But James, here's the difference. Here's the key difference, right? Who was moaning about the Europa League that you mentioned as your example?
Burnley.
Right. Now, that's the coach, and that's the players probably moaning. I don't think the owners of Burnley Football Club minded the check they got in the post or the bank transfer that they got from that European money. Now, I'm not saying it's perfect, but I'm telling you that when a team like, I don't know, Southampton, or when a team like Leeds gets back into a European competition, there's going to be that thing where obviously the managers and the players are going to be like, damn, what country? I've never heard of that. Where do we have to go? That's going to be a pain in the neck. But in terms of the finances for that team going forward, that's where it makes the difference. And that's what I'm most excited for with that extra competition. But the system is still not perfect. It's very broken.
Also, for the guys who have just newly joined, we're just talking about the new Champions League format, and is it good? Are you guys
just sucks?
a fan of it? How much do they make from this? For me, that's the question, because now teams go to now play, instead of they're guaranteed 5 games in the group stages, teams are now guaranteed 9 games in the group stages, and then it goes quarterfinals, semi-final, and final. So I guess they eliminate the last 16 game, which personally, if I'm being honest about it, the group stage games are always the most boring and drawn out things. Like I always just want to cut to the I always just want to get to the knockout stage, and even the last 16 is always great. So I don't know why they're trying to remove that out of it. If they, like, for me, if they wanted, they could do what they do in the Europa League and have a last 32 and just keep, just longer drag of games, but it's more competitive because teams want to get to the next round.
But the thing is, we talk about these teams that we've never heard of that start coming into the competition. If you start opening up more spaces, it's going to be the exact same thing. We're going to hear of even more rogue teams that, okay, maybe they're champions of their domestic league, but it's in, I don't know, Estonia or something. You know what I mean? And, do we really think this team has any shot at all because of the gulf in class between the better teams and the lesser teams? Well, no, absolutely not. With all due respect, everybody, apart from the odd, one kind of anomaly, we see the same group of teams, the same 10-ish teams in the semi-finals of these competitions every single year. I'm not going to sit here and pretend to you, even the Europa League, Arsenal, Manchester United, Villarreal, and Roma sounds about right to me, even though it's in a lower competition. Champions League's the exact same thing. PSG, money. Man City, money. Real Madrid. You know what I mean? It's not. We haven't got these surprise packages anymore.
How do you feel about, let's say, UEFA only getting teams from the top 8 coefficient rankings, but I'm pretty sure that's what they're doing already. How many teams enter from different different areas of Europe? Because when you think about you have England, Spain, Germany, France.
Oh, James, the whole of Europe, the whole of Europe.
Ajax, Ajax, Holland. What else? Turkey.
The whole James, the whole of Europe, the whole of Austria, they're everywhere. But the way they work it in terms of the amount of places you get is based on the coefficient.
Also, do you not also feel like we're not giving these teams a chance?
No, of course not.
Because the point of football to say, oh, the same team, you give them a chance. Because if we didn't give these teams like a chance, I don't think we would have seen Erling Haller. I don't think Erling Haller would have been the one that everyone's raving about today. Because he played for
Salzburg.
Salzburg are like a well-known team, but they don't play in the best of leagues.
No, but James, so this is the thing, right? They allot places. So the Premier League gets 4 spots. Okay, now that is based on their coefficient. In the same with Spain and Italy and France, etc., etc. So most of the time, all of these tiny little leagues, they're going to get 1 spot, maybe 2, but chances are maybe even both of them will be qualifier spots. And then they have to play that game super early to then be one of those teams added in later. Now, I tend to agree with you, because if we just give 2 places across all the leagues, or 1 place across all the leagues, right? Then what you're doing is you are spreading the money across all these leagues potentially a little bit better. But then you're talking about, well, oh, hang on a minute, only 1 team gets it per league. That kind of sucks. A lot of these teams rely on Champions League money. In Italy, the difference between some teams making a loss and making a profit is whether they qualify for the Champions League. So it's difficult, because what you want is the whole of European competition to be competitive, but UEFA want to still sell the tickets. UEFA still want to sell the broadcasting rights to the big games. So of course you give more places to England, Spain, Italy, etc., etc.
Jack, I just want to talk about football.
Dude, me too. I'm getting sick of it. I'm sick of it.
Talking about all this coefficient ranking, and like it's cool enough. But I want to talk about who scored from 30 yards out, what player got sent off, and
you know what I think kills me, mate, is like, it's something that's always bothered me, but it's always kind of been bubbling in the background, and I've just accepted, like I think a lot of football fans have, that it's like, oh, this is just bad. Like, who cares? It's fine. It's the same teams, but hey, there's always storylines and there's always something cool with these big teams. And when they play each other, it's always cool and special. And we get Ronaldo overhead kicks, and we get the three-peat from Real Madrid, and Chelsea win it one year, and all this kind of stuff. Like, okay, it's the same teams, but whatever. We always get storylines. I think now the fact that it might change, I've kind of opened up this like Pandora's box of, oh, and another thing, this sucks, and oh, this sucks, and oh, this sucks.
Yeah, but for me, there's still a lot to be unlocked. How close have Juventus came to winning this on a number of occasions?
It's another storyline.
Inter Milan, AC Milan, 2 teams that we want to see at the top of the game, especially AC Milan. We know the history behind that. A team like Arsenal, do they still have a chance of winning? Atletico Madrid, Ajax, could they still have a run? I do understand that, yes, there's 2 teams clearly on top, but that dominance to me of like a Real Madrid and Barcelona, it's there, but not there to the instinct, not there to the height of anymore. We entered this year's Champions League, and generally, a lot of people say Bayern Munich, but you weren't sure who was going to win. You weren't sure who was going to make, like.
But the short list isn't very long. That's the problem. Like, James, you mentioned Juventus. How many semis and how many finals have they been in? They're always there or thereabouts. It's not like sometimes they get knocked out in the groups. Sometimes they're in it. You know, they get knocked out by, Anderlecht or whatever. It's that the same teams are always there or thereabouts. You know what I mean? That is the problem for me personally.
But Jack, but that's football for you.
That is a terrible response.
No, but Jack, generally, that's football. The most dominant teams are mainly always like gonna be there.
There's money.
Yeah, listen, the money side of it is obviously a big pump. But Jack, just the way, like I've mentioned, football has changed so much since the 90s.
Right.
Teams are even, I said it before, teams are even more popular than they were before. Man City have grown into this powerhouse where everyone wants to play. Everyone wants to play for them. Yes, like yes, the money side of it. But you look at teams like a Manchester United. Think about where they were in the 80s. Think about it. They were languishing in mid-table. They've had a surge in the last 25 years, and now they're one of the most dominant teams.
But James, that was when there was a foundation and a platform where you were rewarded for good management and good players, good coaching, all those kinds of things. We're now in a situation where money has dominated the sport to such an extent where actually the coaching largely doesn't matter. Managing is obviously important, but you're always going to have good coaches because there are a lot available. There's a lot of managers available, so that's usually going to be fine. And James, here's the thing. Like I say, the statistical analysis and data behind this is so clear, it's not even true. Even when a team who spends loads of money has a little bit of a blip, it's not long before they get back up. Manchester United finished, what, 7th and 6th and 8th, like points over the last 10 years? They're second in the league right now. And though I saw a couple of news articles coming up where Manchester United, when there was the 2012 league run for the Aguero goal, Manchester City were the same amount of points behind United when they won the title as Man United are to City now. So I was seeing all these things about Man United could still win the league. The point being, they've spent loads of money on players who clearly aren't worth it. But eventually, here we are, they're second. If they make a couple of signings, they could make a title run next year. Not every team can finish mid-table and then make a jump like that. It's all got to do with the money. James, Arsenal, like it or not, Arsenal will be back in and amongst it in the next...
Jack, listen, I hope so, but we have a owner called Stan Kroenke who just, goodness gracious me, just won't let go. Man,
hopefully he'll be done soon. Hopefully he'll be done. Gary Garner's stack of ribs. The problem is there is a nucleus of clubs who've attained so much power and success that the football world in general is pretty much cemented. Yeah, dude. Yes, absolutely right. I mean, you've snuck Celtic and Rangers in there. I'm not so sure about them. But the point is, replace Celtic and Rangers with maybe Man City, Man United, Chelsea, Liverpool, whatever. But the point still remains. Yes, James, I can tell you, obviously, with maybe one exception, I reckon I could give you the teams in the semi-finals every year. Out of a pool of 10 teams, I reckon I could give you 8 to 10 teams, and every one of those teams will probably be in the semi-finals. And that's what sucks. I don't have to know the matchups. I don't have to know the coaches. That's just the way it's going at the moment. That's what I want to change. James, you know me, I'm not complaining when I see these teams play each other. It's great. It's still fun. But the point is, I'd like a team.
What was the Premier League called before it became the Premier League?
Well, that was 2 years before I was born. English. Oh, the Football League First Division.
Okay, so let me just...
From 93 to 2001, there we go.
Let me just get the total list of teams. And let me just look at something right now. Let's see.
But, okay. Yeah, but anyway, okay.
Down to... So, the year before...
James, can you stick Gary's latest comment in? Gary Garner again. This season, we're seeing genuine challenges across the European leagues in Lille, Atletico Madrid, Sporting Lisbon, and Inter Milan. Hey, you're absolutely spot on. But yet again, I'll point to coronavirus, personally.
And I'll also point to teams just not being as good as they used to be. Come on, we just came off arguably the most dominative we've seen Barcelona and Real Madrid ever been. Spanish dominance at its absolute fullest. And that's also down to the system of that's also down to the tactical change like in the football and the type of players that were created, and Spain is like dominated throughout that time. But I just want to bring up the list of teams that won it before the Premier League was like invented. So we got Leeds. So we have Leeds United. Yeah, we know who Leeds were, but back then they weren't as like as established as I mean, like back then Leeds were one of the best teams in England. Arsenal, a team who's always been there. Yeah.
Right.
Liverpool. We know about Liverpool. Arsenal, Liverpool, Everton, Liverpool, Everton, Liverpool, 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 Aston Villa, Liverpool, Liverpool. But wait, but Jack, what does that tell you there? It's still teams that we recognize today as like
James, go back 30 years. Tell me how many different winners there are, because that's what we're talking about. You did like what, 8 years there? Go back 30.
Yeah, but Jack,
go back 30. No, do it. Count the amount of different teams over the 30 years from that period.
I don't even want to count that.
No, James. I'll do it on my fingers.
This is 1892. I think Sunderland won a back-to-back.
No, not 1892. So go to 19. Oh, hang on a minute. 1962, and then go up from there.
Okay. So Liverpool, Aston Villa, Liverpool, Nottingham Forest, Liverpool, Derby County, Liverpool, Derby County, Arsenal, Everton, Leeds, Man City, Man United, Liverpool, Man United, Liverpool, Everton, Ipswich, Tottenham, Burnley, Wolves.
That's 30 years?
Oh, Wolves, Man United, Chelsea, Wolves, Arsenal, Man United, Tottenham, Portsmouth, Arsenal, Liverpool.
Okay, so actually it's less than I thought it would be, but I think that was about 15 or 16. So that was a different team like every other year, basically.
But we also seen a lot of the regular teams that we see today. Everton, how far Everton off the rest of the big six? They're not that far off. You consider Tottenham to kind of be a big six team. So it's still always been the same teams who've been there.
But I would also say, especially with Everton, obviously they have had that income from European competition. This is why I think that third tier of European competition, coaches and players aren't going to like it. But I tell you what, the owners are going to like it, and the people in charge of spending the money are going to like it because it's going to.
But Everton has been in like the Europa League for about like 15 years, Jack, and they have nothing in it.
But James, like you just said, right? We're now talking about them up there with these other teams. You know, I mean, look, they've got Carlo Ancelotti as their manager, James Rodriguez, Luca Digne, Yerry Mina. They've got some serious players now and a serious opportunity, I think, going forward to, you know, are you ruling out Everton for top 4 next year? I know I'm not.
Listen,
you know what I mean?
I have Everton to go far, but we're talking about, like Everton competing in these type of competitions where in recent years, which they've been in it, they didn't take it that seriously.
Gary, if you compare the variations in league positions from about the early 50s, late 90s, and the last 20 years, you'll see far more variations in those earlier decades. It's not about who comes first. Yeah, no, so, okay, Gary, that is a very good point. We can't just talk about the winner. Yes, there's far more teams who would win it and then go down to 15th, 16th, 17th and not just stay in that top 4 range. And that's what I'm talking about when it comes to competitiveness. That's what bothers me. I watched Roma-Atalanta today. Roma got a 1-1 draw because Atalanta had a guy sent off and we got very, very lucky. But I had them talking about the European Super League. And they said, how dare you rob Roma or Atalanta from the European Super League competition? They beat Juventus last weekend and they're above Juventus in the table. And I went, hang on a minute, who's won 9 Serie A titles over the last 9 years? Oh yeah, that's right, Juventus. Atalanta haven't come close to winning the title.
Do you really think that there's a chance the European Super League will ever happen?
Yes, I do. But I think they're going to diplomatically do it and they'll massage it into being.
If it does happen, it will happen without the English teams there. I feel like the English teams made a stand that they do not stand for this at all. They're going to
No, but James, what if it becomes socially acceptable? What if they massage it in such a way that it becomes socially acceptable?
Do you really think it will be socially acceptable in this country of all countries? I'm
saying, what if it becomes that way? I'm telling you that it is already that way. You still think they won't? Because I think when it becomes acceptable, they will.
Do you really think it is right now socially acceptable?
James, listen to me. I'm asking you, what if? So it's already happened. It's already happened. So don't worry about how it gets there. It has become socially acceptable. You still think they turn it down? I don't.
Well, if it happened, no. The reaction to it, I don't think it would. Like, no, a reaction like if it did happen, I don't think like teams in France would accept that. So I think we will see a thing of players. But
you're missing my point. You're missing my point.
But what is your point? You're saying UEFA and them just make it happen.
No. So the FAs are okay with it because they've worked out some sort of deal. UEFA's okay with it. FIFA's okay with it, right? They work out something so the championship teams are okay with it. League One, League Two, they make it so that, say, tickets are cheaper. They massage it. I'm not. You and I both know realistically they're never going to be okay with it ever. They're not going to like it. But James, what I'm telling you is, if it becomes socially acceptable. So stop worrying about whether it will or won't, because it already has. In this fantasy scenario, it already has. You're telling me they'd turn it down? Because I don't think they would. The only reason why this hasn't gone through is because of the outrage. Remove the outrage because of some political, tactical way of going about it. I don't know.
Yeah, but Jack, the outrage is the big part of the reason why it doesn't happen. So
but that's why I'm asking you about removing it. That's the thing. You keep adding in the outrage. I'm asking you to remove it, and you still won't answer my question.
Oh, so where's because it's almost like the question is if there was no outrage, would it be accepted? Yes, of course it would be accepted because there's no outrage about it, you know.
But this is what I'm saying, because I'm telling you, these European Super League teams are going to be in Zoom meetings, boardrooms with UEFA, FIFA, domestic leagues, fan representation, and they're going to try to reach something which will be considered acceptable. I don't think they'll ever get there personally, but that's what they're going to try and do over the next 10 years maybe.
Yeah, but Jack, when you have Boris Johnson again involved in talking about putting legislations to stop these things from happening, I just don't think it's like the way it is in this like in this country, in the passion that like football is played with, and how seriously fans take their club. It is never going to happen. If you want to have a breakaway with Spain, with Real Madrid and Barcelona, they can do that because they are bigger than La Liga. Yeah, La Liga needs them more than they need La Liga. I'll put my hands up, I'll put my hands up there, and maybe Italy too, because we already see the scandals that's going on with Italy, already with what was it, the Catenaccio one where like Juventus were relegated to like League Two of like Serie A. They're gonna accept it. I'm not putting I'm not denying that, but I don't think that they're gonna get the German teams ever involved in it, and they certainly won't get English teams involved.
The teams in Germany and I think the rest of Central Europe will never go for it, and that, I think I would include Holland and Belgium, and because the sensibility level is similar. You know, in this country in the UK, we're an island. We're the bulldog breed, right? We kind of fight our own kind of thing. We're not as kind of reserved and tactful as some of the Central European countries.
Just a quick reminder, guys. Just also, could you help us hit the like and subscribe button? Also, guys, share this, spread the word. Comment down below. Give us your opinions on this European Super League. We're also talking about the Champions League new format. Celtic and Rangers joining the Premier League. Get us down below, comment, and let us know your opinion on it. But Jack, carry on.
Well, okay. So if we kind of go down that road, if you had to pick 3 teams, one from kind of any other country, one from each country, so you can't have 2 from one country. So say it's Spain, you can't have Real Madrid and Barca, you can only have one. In Italy, you can't have Juventus and Inter, you can only have one. So you could pick 3 teams to add to the Premier League, one from each country. Who would it be?
3 teams. So take 3 teams away to the Premier League,
and you add them to the Premier League.
You add them to the Premier League. Oof. And it can't be them guys there. Ooh.
So it can't be Real Madrid, Barca, Bayern. It could maybe be Bayern, Barca. Okay. You know.
Can it be PSG?
Yeah, it can be PSG, of course.
Okay, give me PSG. Give me. What's a good one? What's another one? You know, give me Ajax. I want to see Ajax.
Okay, didn't think you'd go there, but okay.
And also, Borussia Dortmund. Just Borussia Dortmund, they already have a bunch of English players. They already love their English guys. So yeah, Borussia Dortmund. Also, Klopp, Dortmund looks nice.
That'd be
Nice little
nice.
rivalry for like 2-3 years. That Liverpool and Dortmund, they both sing "You'll Never Walk Alone."
That's
Kind
kind
of
of
what
cool,
they,
isn't it? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
the last time that they played, if you guys remember, it was the 4-3 game where I think was a Lovren that scored the winner. One of the craziest Europa League game. No, the craziest Europa League game I've ever watched.
Yeah. You stole kind of my Ajax pick. I didn't think you'd go there, but I think I'd go Ajax too. Ajax would definitely be a fun addition because I think what you want is you don't just want three of the biggest teams, right? That's kind of not a waste of time, but it kind of makes you be like, well, okay, what are we doing? Just moving like the rest of the league just down 3 spaces. So I think Ajax are definitely a good shout. Dortmund are interesting. I'm glad you picked them. Dortmund's definitely interesting. I'd love to see Atletico Madrid. I'd love to see Atletico Madrid. That would be my team, I think, from Spain. And then from Italy, I'd probably take Juventus because I think the Premier League would kind of knock them down a peg. You know what I mean? Because I think Juventus have it relatively easy. At the moment, it's okay, they play Inter occasionally, or maybe they have a tough game, or historically over the past few years, maybe Napoli have proved a problem. Roma have been a thorn in Juventus' side, but apart from that, they've just been able to absolutely dominate. I don't think Juve would be able to do that in the Premier League, and it would just be fun.
Well, it depends what Juve you're talking about. This Juve, no, because they're
okay.
not even
what about last year or the last couple of years? The team, the last 2 Scudetto titles.
They could probably They will definitely be in the title race. They'll probably come second,
okay.
third, being honest. Yeah.
Okay. See, that's what I'm saying. You have to make them work for it, right?
Gary has another comment there.
I'll get rid of Arsenal, Man City, and Spurs. Add Bayern, Juve, and PSG to the Prem. Bayern, Juve,
wait. Arsenal, Arsenal, 13 championship.
Guys doing that just to kind of roast you a little bit.
The most in England, Arsenal of all teams. You're gonna keep Chelsea? Nah, Gary. Listen, I like you in that, but I'm not having this one, guy. Come on.
might have to start banning people with all this Arsenal slander going on now.
No. Listen, 3rd best team in English history. Come on, the class of Arsenal. Well, let's not talk about Stan Kroenke, but Arsenal, well, friends, we haven't been great in God knows how long. So I can understand that we haven't been great for a long time.
Okay, James, we've had 6 teams in the European Super League from the UK. Over under. So do you know how over unders work?
Yeah.
Okay. Over under 1.5 owners of teams sell their team in the next 24 months. So the next 2 years. So over would be 2 or more. Under would be 1 or less, right?
I have under. And for me,
okay.
it's only going to be one team.
Who's the most likely?
Arsenal, of course. Okay. They've already been rumors. I think so one Sky representative put today that there's one out of the European breakaway teams that one of the owners are considering selling the team. Arsenal fans are going to have a huge protest tomorrow before the Everton game. I'm looking forward to that. Josh Kroenke had a meeting with Arsenal fans today. So
right.
And it seems like the outrage is there. The wound was too big to close, and it just seems something that needs to happen and is destined to happen.
Right. I think I'd go over, and it's purely.
Who else is going to sell? Do you really think John W. Henry's going to sell?
I think the Americans are more likely. I think you've already mentioned the 3 guys. It's the Glazers, the John Henry, and Kroenke. And here's why, James.
The Glazers. Think about it. Have this whole Glazer debacle has been going on for 10, 15 years. Do you remember the freaking green
and yellow? Yep.
Like yellow scarves. Do you know how strong that movement was? They don't care.
No, they don't.
United is their is their gold mine.
Yeah.
Manchester United are huge, and there's no way that they want to turn down the chance.
The thing is,
money.
The club, I think, is in 700 or so million of debt, right? And I think that this, obviously, you had the fans go to Carrington, the training ground today, and actually block training, and talk about the 50+1 rule as well. Now, keep in mind, if the 50+1 rule did start to get implemented, we're in a position where, well, the Glazers already have the majority, so that would have to be knocked down some, right? And then they'd be in a position where they couldn't just dictate what they had to do if that is implemented. And then John Henry, Jamie Carragher said that John Henry wouldn't be able to continue at Liverpool, and he said it in such a way that I kind of thought, you know what? I think Jamie Carragher's assessment of Liverpool and the ownership is going to be a bit better than mine, because Gary Neville did not say the Glazers can't stick around after this. There's no way. He mentioned that obviously it's so bad, but Carragher said John Henry would not be able to.
Do you not feel like his apology was enough to kind of mend his relationship with the Liverpool fans?
It was scripted. I never love scripted apologies. You can always tell a scripted apology. It's a problem. It needs to come from the heart. You need to just hit record and go for it. He clearly had that ready.
I don't know. I just think that what he's done in the past few years, surely Liverpool fans can say, under you, we've won a Premier League for the first time ever. And we've won the Champions League. We've won the Club World Cup. We've won the Super Cup. It hasn't been that bad.
No. Okay. Yeah, it hasn't been that bad. Like, let's be honest.
It really, like, what? He took over, in 2013?
Right.
Or, yeah. Around,
I think the thing is, though, they signed an agreement where they were expecting their brand value to double, maybe triple. And now that's not happened.
What Liverpool's brand value?
Oh, all the European Super League teams would double, triple if they joined Europe.
I talking about the deal that John Henry signed with Liverpool, or like a deal he
signed with the European Super League deal. He signed a deal to be in a closed league where he'd be in it every year. He'd be a founding member. It would draw the most broadcasting rights because obviously they wouldn't, all these top teams wouldn't take part in the Champions League anymore. And he'd have all this money then potentially to sell and then move on to do whatever he wants with the Red Sox or whatever the hell he wants to do in America. That's not happening anymore. And I wonder, James, if even from the beginnings of when these Americans came over, if this wasn't their plan all along.
How much you think he didn't buy Liverpool for that much money? He probably bought Liverpool probably about like 500.
Damn, I think I tweeted about it recently.
How much do you think it's doubled since he's probably doubled or trebled since he's been in charge? So you can't say like
James, I think 4 times, maybe more.
Apparently, not apparently, LeBron James is also taking charge during that time. But Jack, I have a nice little question to ask you. And you're an American football fan, and obviously an NBA fan. You see the Americans coming over. How great is the NFL in like the way it's run compared to England?
It has its issues. It definitely has its issues. But James, I think the thing you have to understand is, and you know this anyway, I think you're asking me so that I can maybe tell people who are watching, but everybody's bought in, right? You got the college system, which is where they get their players from largely. They get a few international players here or there, but obviously the high school program is connected to the college program, is connected to the professional game. So it's run well from a standpoint that the league do everything and everyone operates within the league, and then it's all kind of hunky-dory. The issue in terms of comparison where it comes to football is it is an open market. It is capitalism. I've used that word so many times because it is that way. The Premier League was founded on that. The reformed Champions League was founded on that. It's let's try and make football as great as it can be. Let's make as much money as we can make. Now, in the NFL, it's still that way because obviously year on year, they want to kind of sell games to broadcasters for as much as they can and share that amongst the owners. And then all the owners have a similar amount of money to then spend on the teams to make sure it's fair. And if they lose, they get certain perks like the draft and this kind of thing. Chances are the salary cap will be limited, and then they'll have more of an option to grow. I'll use this as a great example. The draft this year, I don't know if we have any NFL fans watching, but the first and second pick, number one is the Jacksonville Jaguars. Number two is the New York Jets. Now, both of them are going to take quarterbacks. The Jacksonville Jaguars have a new head coach who's one of the most successful coaches in college and used to be in the NFL, actually, Nick Saban. And they're going to take Trevor Lawrence, who a lot of people are saying is the number one pick. The New York Jets are in a position where they're going to have a new quarterback, and they've got a lot of new draft picks. Now, they're going to draft these guys, and they're going to have a total revamp of the supporters are going to be in for it. Gary, dude,
thank you, Gary.
Absolute pleasure, man. Absolute pleasure. Thank you. New York Jets and the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to now be in a position where
Also,
they can
remember to subscribe and obviously because love having you on.
Yeah, man. But they're in a position now where they can totally turn their franchise around. The problem, and this is where the comparison part comes in, the Jacksonville Jaguars and the New York Jets, like James, let me just pull this up here. What I want to do is look at the Premier League table from last season. What would that be? The 2020 table. So the Premier League table 2020. So let's draw a direct comparison here between, say, I don't know, Watford and Bournemouth. Okay. So this is like Watford and Bournemouth being in those positions. Now all that happened with them was they got relegated.
Yeah.
They got parachute payments, cool, but they'd have much sooner been in the league because they would have gotten more money that way. Now, they haven't been given any extra help or any other support. Chances are, with a lot of their contracts for their players, there would have been a clause in there, which means that if they get relegated, their pay would get decreased by 20%, 10%, 30%, something like that, to cater for now being in the Championship and the club having less money. And the chances of them now winning the Premier League are taken away from a year because they have to get back into the league. Then when they're back in the league, they have to build a squad that compete with these juggernauts and go crazy and do all this stuff. James, the Jacksonville Jaguars and New York Jets could make the playoffs this year. No one's going to say that, okay, they're going to win the Super Bowl because there are still better teams, but there's always that chance. And that's the issue.
Yeah, but Jack, you say make the playoffs. How many teams? There's more teams who make the playoffs than like don't make the playoffs. What's it called again in the in NFL compared to the Premier League where it's a 20-man league? How does that work?
Well, no. So the point being that you have to be a top 8 team, I believe. Or is it top 8 or top 7? It's top 7. No, you have to be top 7. Because the team who comes first gets a first round bye, and then it's 2nd versus 7th, 3rd versus 6th, etc. 4th versus 5th. But then, so then the way that works is that then you're moving up into more of a position to win. Because one thing I hear a lot about in terms of the competitiveness is, well, if you're rewarding people from finishing last, then people are not going to try and win. It's like, well, what's the point in even playing if you're not going to try and win? The coaches are paid to win. The managers, the owners, the directors are going to say, hey, you need to win. The players, they're fighting for contracts. They're fighting to make as much money as they can. So they're trying to win. So for me, if you give some sort of incentive, or not incentive, but help to the teams who don't do as well, you're then going to be in a position next season to potentially move up a little bit more. And then the teams at the top, if you restrict them a bit, you just make that gap between best and worst smaller and smaller and smaller.
Yeah, but what do you want a draft system? Because all the players come in an academy, so there's no way you can make a draft system. And I'm more for the academy than the actual draft because there's more of a chance of players coming through from an academy than a draft where there's only 30-something places available, you know?
Oh, no. Well, there's multiple rounds. There's 7 or 8 rounds. And there'd be, so each team would be able to pick 7 players on a yearly basis. Now, that's something that people have thought of. So whatever the Premier League teams are, whatever their academy produces, right, you pull them all together and then you say, right, and team, before you sign a pro deal, which I think, can you sign a pro deal at 17, James?
What, 16?
16. Okay, so when you hit 16, there could be a draft, and with all the eligible players from each of the academies, you could still have promotion relegation, right? Then the scouts would scout across the UK. This would also support UK talent a hell of a lot more as well. You would then say, right, who has a great academy? Who has like the best academy in the league? Man United. Okay, so Mason Greenwood is 16, right? And you've got Watford down there, and they've just finished.
Also, what happened to having local players?
Well, that's fine, but we put too much into that, James. The league is full of foreign. The league is full of foreign players.
Yeah, but league is. Yeah, I understand that, but you also need that type of players who know about these certain fixtures. Like, for instance, the Merseyside derby. You need scousers to know what it's like to play in the Merseyside derby.
You
need Londoners there. Like,
there's nothing stopping you drafting your own players, James. You can draft your own players. That's what I'm saying. So James, look, let me just play this example out, right? So let's say Mason Greenwood is available to Watford. Mason Greenwood get him, and then he becomes this kind of great player. You can then also get these kind of surprise packages, right, of players who you didn't really expect too much from, who you pick up in the 6th or 7th round, and then you move from there, right? That's kind of how you would potentially work it. I'm not suggesting that for a minute. I don't think the infrastructure is set up to work that way. It would be really exciting, but I still don't think that would be something that could possibly work.
So guys, we've been chatting for a while. It's getting a bit late, so I'm gonna call it a day. But again, we're gonna come back, and hopefully we come back with maybe we go live for a Champions League game or something like that. We can talk about football and more and more expertise, not all this rankings and all that type of stuff. Have proper football discussions, because I'm sick of all this.
Dude,
I want to talk about the football side of it. But guys, thank you for watching today. If you haven't already, please hit the like, share, and subscribe button. Definitely hit that subscribe button. Check out the other stuff that we have. So much stuff on the European Super League. We have all types of stuff with tier list, everything like that. Go check that out, guys. This is Box to Box Football, and we will see you next time.